Well, I just started recording because why not? Why not? Just
You want to listen to me breathing heavily as I trudge up the stairs here?
that actually could be Patreon content. Someone might, although all of my Patreon subscribers are normal and nice. But here's hoping for weird ones in 2024.
Yeah. Hey, there was that guy on stage last night, just that musician who,
I loved him. Don't go after him.
okay, all right. So it's off the table to say that it was fucking weird that this guy was going on about, please send me bags of piss. Are you pissing? You missed this?
I miss like my head was I was so overwhelmed with all the shit I had to do. I missed
That was
literally
who
all of that.
set the room up for me for the show.
It's
It was
good.
him and then Red Band and then that Hispanic guy who just kept going, fuck, bro. Fuck. Yeah, bro. Yeah. And then it was me. So like when I tell you I want to take them on tour and have them open for me always.
Okay, hang out for a second. I'm gonna do the intro. Hey, everybody. You're listening to a bonus episode of Service from Hell with my good friend, comic and voice actor Lisa Curry. She also co hosts a podcast with Matthew Sheffield that is called Doom Scroll, and I was on it. It's a super fun show. They do topical news stories and riff off of them, but it's also like informative. They're big nerds. It's a good show. Lisa is finishing up her tour of the entire United States and starting off 2024 with a bang. And we are currently both in the same house in Austin, Texas. She is in a different room. We're recording because I was like, hey, will you be on the show again? You guys know her, you love her. She's already been on the show 100 times. We did this in Pittsburgh last, right? Wasn't that the
We
last
did
time?
this in Pittsburgh. Yeah. And that
Yeah.
was in 2021. That was early
That's
2021.
wild.
Like,
You have a good memory. I don't remember. I was going through it in my head. I was like, was it Philadelphia or was it Pittsburgh?
oh yeah, I only remembered because I lived in 10 different fucking places that year. That's how I remember. Because I remember, oh, February, March, I was in Brooklyn, and then I was back in my cousin's briefly, and then for the rest of April and May, I was in Nashville, and then I was back at my cousin's
This is good
very
content.
briefly.
Let's go through the
Yeah.
whole. Why don't you say how many miles everything took, how long you were in the car? Let's get really as
All
specific
right,
as
get ready,
possible.
strap in, people.
No. Well, we're doing a bonus episode because we are obviously in the same house and also we are in a different part of the world with customer service experiences being varied. And Lisa has the great distinct pleasure of being a full-time comic, so she doesn't have to work in customer service. What an asshole. But whilst we were here, I picked up a job at the Sunset Strip Comedy Club, and it has been lovely. Haley is lovely. Everybody there is lovely. It has been so kind because I'm only here, well, we're only here for like 2 weeks. And it was nice to pick up shifts. But it's different out here. It's different. The
A little bit,
customers
yeah.
a little different. And I was telling Lisa, like last time I was here, when I was considering moving, I asked a server, I was like, oh, what do you think of working here or being here? And he goes, oh, it sucks. Don't work here. And I was like, welcome to Texas. We're really doing it. Um, so I don't necessarily have one particular thing to gripe about. I just think it's all different now. And I feel like I've just come out of a hole where I was
Hmm.
like in a bunker for several years. And now that I did like a quick customer service job, I was like, oh, okay, okay, yeah, yeah, things are different. But I will say they have a new option where not new, it's probably not new, it's new to me, where you have a
Hmm.
handheld, payment device and then you
Hmm.
muscle people into tipping you. I didn't get stiffed one time last night.
Oh,
Yeah, and I think it's because you stand over them and like they're not about to smash that no tip button when you're
I
like
would.
I know you would. I know you would. But I don't know, Lisa, has it been like, have you noticed a difference in customer service? Because you've been all over the country in the last like
Hmm.
year. So do you have places where you're like, oh, it's better here, it's worse there? Um,
I will say, and that we've chatted about this outside of Los Angeles and New York, there's no such thing as service. People they'll make their way to your table when they feel like it. They don't care. Write a Yelp review, go pound sand. They don't they couldn't care less. I also feel weird about them handing you the thing because
hate it.
now the options are they could give you the worst service in the world. And there's three little bubbles that show up. And I've seen it either be, it's never 15% is never an option. It's either 18, 20, or 22, or it's 20, 22, or 25. And I'm like, the day I'm tipping you 25%, what are you talking about?
Mhm.
What are you talking about? A quarter of the bill? This is getting outrageous.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that the other thing that people don't know is that like there's tip out. I mean, we've talked about it on the show, but there's
Hmm.
tip out percentages off of the tip. So you're not just floating the employment of the server, you're
Hmm.
floating the employment of every person that that server has to tip
Is in the
out.
building.
Everybody, management's getting a cut, fucking the
Oh, I
janitor.
had a manager straight up. I don't know if I said this in my thing, but I had a manager straight up steal our tips because you had to drop them in little envelopes in into a safe. And I worked with my sister-in-law, and I was like, I was like, I would collect my tips, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I worked with Nikki for 3 days this week. Like, I should have tips from Nikki. And he's like, I don't know, you can't trust anybody. And it's like, it's my sister-in-law. I know her. I know she wouldn't have, I've known her since I was 10. She got me the job here. Like, there's no way she wouldn't tip out. And they had hired him. He had embezzled like tens of thousands of dollars from his last job. And they were like, oh, everybody deserves a second chance. And I'm like, meanwhile, him and all the owners and other managers were on cocaine every night. I'm like, a second chance, or is he like giving you a discount on fucking getting gacked? Come on.
That, that part, that part. Yeah, I've had managers skim off the top. The way that it works nowadays, I guess, is that you don't get any of your tips the same night. Like it's all on your check. And so
No,
you're
go
just
away.
hoping that they're on it. You're hoping like I just thought I was like, oh, this system, this sucks. Because there's
Mm-mm.
no way where I can be like, hey, I think that table tipped me like pretty fat. Like they really took care of me and I'm only seeing like $50 on my check. Like what happened? It's like, well, the disbursement, the this, they just say corporate words and you're like, okay, so I
So
don't,
they tip out on your behalf also.
yeah, yeah,
Oh no, no,
yeah.
no, I don't like that. I
I
don't
don't
like
either.
that at all.
I don't either.
Also, I mean, you guys, if you have listened to me at all talk anywhere, you know that I like a little scam here and there, and I'm
Schemes
gonna
and
skim.
scams.
I like scheming and scamming, and I don't like paying taxes. And the thing with putting all your tips on your check is you're taxed to hell. You can't skim $20 from anywhere.
Sure can't. Sure
You
can't.
can't just not claim that. I didn't claim tips for the entire time I worked at one of the places I worked at
How did,
for
okay, you've
like
said
three
that
years.
before. Is that really true? Like you would put zero
Yeah, I
every
hit
time,
zero every day.
every day. And that never,
I think there may have been in 3 years, there may have been a dozen times where I was like $1, $4.
I
Oh,
mean,
look, I had to get my money.
well, and I
I
guess
literally
like,
could not have survived financially without doing that.
and if you think about it, like I guess it's demonstrable if they want to audit each individual receipt that was like added a
Hmm.
tip and signed. But for the most part, like a tip isn't a guarantee. The only guarantee that you're given is the in Texas $5 an hour that we're making. So it's like that crispy five. Yeah, let that sink in. Is the only thing that I guess is guaranteed. This is why the systems being all on those handhelds sucks because it's
Hmm.
all like it's every they the system
Yeah.
whatever that is knows how much you're
Yeah.
getting tipped. But you know, I mean, am I? And
Yeah.
also, I'm paying taxes. I'm just realizing this now. I'm paying taxes on the full
On
amount
what
of
you're
the
tipping
tip,
out.
and I'm paying taxes on what I'm tipping out.
Hmm. That's
That
always been a huge problem for me because I'm like, I'm not walking home with this much money. The tip out procedure is insane. They're not claiming that shit.
no,
You think the busser is going and doing his due diligence and claim? No, 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 no. Well, I guess if they put it on the check, but like you're getting that's I mean, I guess it's not double taxation because double taxation would be the same person again.
but it's the same.
I
It's the same
Yeah.
money getting taxed twice.
Hmm.
Because if I got a $20 tip and that is taxed, and then off of my $20 on John's, you know, the busser's tip or
Hmm.
his check. I'm not being clear because I'm mad right now because now I'm realizing I'm probably going to see
I think they get
$5.
it. I think they get
They get it. Yeah, you understand.
it.
But I think, you know, we talk about this a lot that the tipping system is flawed. And you know, I always say a tip is a gift. And in California, the nice thing is you have to make minimum wage. And I think in certain parts of California, it's 10.25. So at least your time, if you aren't tipped,
Hmm.
you're getting, you know, $5 extra. But here, like $5 an hour, I don't know what is that even on my
That's
training
not
shift.
even
I
the
made
federal
50.
minimum wage.
No,
Yeah.
I made $15 on the first shift I worked for 4 hours of work.
Yeah. And they're supposed to make up the difference and pay you, and they're not going to.
Oh yeah,
They
you
never do.
mentioned that. Will you explain that to the audience what you
So
mean?
the rule is, and this includes like if it's a slow night and you only have a couple of tables, if your tips plus your hourly don't come out to the federal minimum wage, the restaurant is supposed to pay you the difference so
Wait,
that
that's
you
true on a
at least
slow
make.
night too?
That's true nationally. That's true everywhere, even on slow nights. And let me tell you, I worked for 225 an hour for a long, long time in Indiana. That never happened, not once. Never, they never made up the difference. You could walk out of there with $30 for the night. They never paid you the difference in the minimum wage.
That is wild to me. I didn't
Legally,
know
they're
that was even a
supposed
rule.
to. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even if it's a slow night.
See,
Because that's how they get away with counting your tips as part of their wage, your wage, and not paying you. It's contingent upon them doing that. That's the only reason that law exists like that they can pay you less.
see, and here's the thing, I'm going to make this a parallel, and this isn't about that, but like, this is why when all the actors were excited about the SAG deal we just got, and I was devastated, it's this because the AI protections are like, oh, they'll pay you if you bring it up to them and say, hey, you used my image.
No,
Can
they
you please
won't
pay
hire
me?
you.
No, they just will never hire you again. This is
Hmm.
the same thing in the restaurant world, especially in LA. It's so competitive that if I go to the manager and I'm like, hey, this was a slow night, you can see that I only had two tables and I made, well, in California, it wouldn't count because we're getting minimum wage. But like out here, if I had the cojones to be like,
They would laugh at
hey,
you.
I'd
They'd
be
push
like,
you down the stairs.
yes, they'd murder me. I would end up deceased. They would think it was hilarious and then annoying. I,
Yeah. Or they'd be
it,
like, I don't know, write your congressperson. Fuck you.
this is why like the peasants are revolting
Hmm.
this is why people have had it because
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Now I'm madder. You're not helping me feel better, Lisa. This is terrible. Would you ever, do you think if you, God forbid, had to like do one of these jobs again? I know you said you'd rather like saw off your own head, so I know you never would.
Yeah.
But like, if you had to, would you, being who you are now with the experience you have, would you go to a manager?
Current me, yeah. Current me,
Oh,
yeah. And I
okay.
wouldn't leave the building until you agreed to that, until we figured that out. I got time. I'll
They're
sit. What's
locking
the
up.
difference?
They're turning off the
$19? I'm
lights.
waiting for it.
They start like cleaning the floors, turning out all the lights. You're
Yeah.
like, I'll be
Yeah.
here. I'll be right
Yeah.
here.
The manager's out of frustration hands me $20 out of his wallet. I'm like, thank you for the additional gift. Now make the restaurant pay me.
Thank you for the additional gifts. God, you'd be a nightmare. Don't hire Lisa. You have to, comedy has to keep working out for you because holy Christ, everyone would have a terrible time at that restaurant.
The idea of me having I don't know, just having, here's the thing too, like restaurant managers largely are the stupidest people that have ever walked the earth. And so it's like me having to answer to one of them again. These people can't spell, they don't know math, they can
God.
they don't read.
Whew, that is
If all you've
that is
ever read is a kitchen chit, then you're not doing well.
I'm not endorsing that opinion. I'm going to keep my mouth
Hmm.
shut as someone who
Hmm.
currently has to be employed in that arena.
Hmm.
What would like, what do you think from top? Oh, because I should have said this up top. Lisa has done not only did a bonus episode when we were in Pittsburgh, but also did a series. It's called Lisa Curry Wants You to Rob Your Boss, and it's a four-parter. We talked for fucking ever. It's a lot of interview.
Listen, I've had like 50 day jobs. So,
You've had a
and I
couple.
remembered more afterwards. And I was like, this sucks.
This is too
What am I
much.
doing?
Well, and so so if you were listening and you're like, well, we haven't gotten to any of the regular questions, it's because Lisa's already done them. And I don't want to hear the stories again. But in the context of this conversation,
Hmm.
if you walk into a restaurant, what is your
Hmm.
expectation of top to bottom? You're like, oh, this was an excellent experience.
For me, I like them to strike a balance between being like friendly and helpful and too attentive. Because I've had a couple of times where I sit down with somebody and like we're having a rough time. I mean, one time with a family member, we were talking about another family member who had died, and we sat down and we were both like holding back tears. Like I was starting to cry, and the server came over. She's like, "All right, do you want to hear the specials?" And I'm like, no, I would like my cousin to be alive again. Like I mean, I didn't say that, but we just kind of sat there and neither of us, because we were like on the verge of tears, so neither of us could say anything because we were like, if I open up my mouth, I'm going to start sobbing. And so we just sat there and she's like, so today we have a sea bass. And I'm like, is this woman fucking insane? I don't care about the specials right now. I don't care if you bring water. I don't care if this place is firebombed while we're sitting here. Like, wh- it's too much, lady. But then some people just don't, they leave you be. Also this whole, and then we probably talked about this before because this infuriates me to all hell. But this new thing where you were fully serving yourself, but
Yeah,
you have to
girl.
order first and you have to tip. I stopped going. There's a place, and I'll smear them. I stopped going to Blue Jam on Melrose. I used to love that place. And then during the pandemic, they started doing like you come up to the counter and you purchase, and then you sit down and they only bring your food. They don't bust your table, they don't check on you. You get your own water. It's you have to get up and go ask them for more coffee at the counter and they expect a tip when you pay. And I'm like, "Well, I can't not tip even though I'm doing my whole service because you're handling my food." But also like what are we doing? In that place there used to be a line out the door, no more. People don't, and it's also like there's also this thing of like during COVID, a lot of companies or a lot of restaurants went to the QR code menu. I hate it. I don't want I want to look at a paper menu. I don't want to scroll back and forth and be like, where were burritos? And like where eh, I don't like that. I don't like order it. Oh, Blue Jam, you have to order on your phone, actually.
Off.
That's the thing. And you put in your credit card information and whatever, which is also like you can't share an app and split it with somebody else.
Also,
Do
what are they
that
do? What part of the exchange are they involved with then?
none.
You've cashed yourself out?
None. You order at the counter. Yeah, you do you do all of it. It's or you order on your phone or you can order at the counter, I think. Whatever, because I've said both, but I remember last time paying on my phone. And it's such horseshit. I hate it. I'm like, you are not serving me. Make an effort.
Fake it.
If I had to tip you ahead of time, I'm like, I just straight up won't go to those places anymore. Oh, I was gonna say, so during COVID, a lot of places switched to a shit version of service because it was necessary. They wanted less contact between people. And now they're continuing to say it's because of that. Like there's I think it was at maybe at LaGuardia recently. I was at in airports are doing this too. This is infuriating, where they had one of their water stations, their water fountain, it was completely shut off. And there was a sign that said, shut off due to COVID. Babe, no, we're not allowed. We don't require to wear masks anymore. This is a fucking lie. You want to drive me over there so I can buy a $15 bottle of water. And I refuse. I refuse. I'll drink out of the sink in the bathroom. Because fuck you. And I don't even mean fill my water bottle. I mean drink out of it like a fucking gerbil. That's what I mean.
With your low paws.
Just mouth up to the spigot. Like just I'll put my mouth on it and just suck on it like a gerbil.
That's the thing is like when you are wired for poverty, which that is changing, but when I'll say it this way, not wired for. When you have experience with being not the richest human, which come on
Yeah.
2024 with the winning the lottery
Yeah.
situation, you are aware when you're really asked to take it. Like
Yeah.
I'm hyper fixated on the
Oh
now
yeah.
hang on. Now hang on. You're right now,
Mhm.
I see you, boo-boo, because I would have run the same scam. And so, like, don't try to pull one over on me when I would have done the same thing, but better. You're not even being subtle. That's where I'm
Yeah.
more insulted. It's like, if you're going to do that, do it creatively, fake it,
Yeah.
pretend you're giving me
Also,
some kind of service.
you have no idea how much pettiness I am capable of.
Mm, I
I should
do.
be
I
in
know
the
you are.
Guinness book.
You should be. You really should be unmatched. But
I-
how would you retain? So in that situation, like apart from, because like I think that's a real cost of business that I don't necessarily think in Los Angeles is as obvious because there's
Mhm.
less, there's so many humans that it's not like, oh, Lisa Curry doesn't come to Blue Jam anymore. And like you had said there used to be a line out the door and now there's not. So
Mhm.
there is a cost of doing business that is like, okay, if your dollars and cents end up being less, then you're like, oh, I think we're doing something wrong. But what do you think the over under is that when they're going to figure out that it's because they're like scheming and scamming their customers, or if they just think, well, it's inflation or it's, nobody has any money
I
anymore.
think the likelihood of anyone taking personal accountability for their actions at this point is very, very
That part.
it's sorry, I'm stumbling over my words, but like no one has any personal accountability anymore, especially like since COVID. Oh, it's COVID's fault. That's what they're gonna say. This is because of COVID. And I guess it can be to a degree that you guys got hit by COVID, but you also have outdoor seating and always have. So what are you talking about? You like I'm in an argument with them and I don't even know them.
No, I'm getting
But
mad over here. My
it's
heart is
yeah.
racing. They're not here. And I'm so mad.
I won't be able to sleep tonight. I'll just be like white knuckling my covers at the top under my chin, like son of a bitch. They didn't take personal responsibility. I don't know that they didn't.
I'm gonna go to my grave on that. Like that, put it on my fucking epitaph. Like that's how I'm going down. You didn't
If
do it right, is what it
if
should
you're
say.
listening now, there's a 20% chance I've had a fake argument with you. Just simply by being a human in the world.
Yeah, I don't think a business would be like, oh, you know what? This is because we are very clearly nickeling and diming people. This is because we're
Mhm.
not paying our people enough. Well, they say in Los Angeles County, if you make less than $72,000 a year, you qualify for all the poverty line benefits, or you
Mhm.
should. You
Mhm.
don't technically,
Mhm.
but you
You
should.
don't. You
Yeah,
don't.
we wouldn't take care
You
of
have
you
to make like $5,000 a year,
a
and then they're
year.
like, okay, you're poor. You can have health care for free and nothing else. Not a bus pass. Don't even look at a garden. Get out of here, poors.
If you thought this included
Psychotic.
vegetables, you were incorrect. Yeah, get out of here, pores is what a mantra. What a
I love
mantra.
LA.
I do too. This is an ad for moving to Los Angeles.
Yeah,
We're
it
saying
should
from
be.
Texas.
Mhm.
Flood the market, folks. Come on over.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like in general, because this is how I get, I am such a people pleaser. And also because I have worked in customer service, I'm so nervous. Like yesterday is a great example. I don't eat pork because I'm a hero. And
Mhm.
I also can't have gluten because I'm 97. So I am so much fun to be out in public with. Lisa can confirm. And we
Mhm.
went to, that's where you say yes. That's where you say
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes.
Okay. That felt real.
I thought
Uh,
was enough.
it was not. So I went and met a friend who lives out here for lunch yesterday, and she is a bartender, and I am to date a server. And we get our meals, and the guy brings it over, and like I
Mhm.
was like, wow, literally none of this looks like what the menu described it as. Instead of being
Mhm.
like he probably punched it in wrong, my brain immediately went
Mhm.
to I read the menu wrong because
Of
that's just
course.
how
Of
things are
course.
in my life. And I was like, hey, this, I had ordered a chicken tostada. Okay, real simple. And I said, hey, when I ordered, I have a gluten intolerance. Like, is this on a corn tortilla or is it on a flour or whatever? And he goes, I think it's corn. And I go, great. He didn't know. And on the side was supposed to be rice and beans. And I'm like, this is gonna be great. He brings my friends two tacos that she ordered, which I absolutely should have done. Simple, hard to mess up. He hands me my
You would
plate,
think.
you would think, and it is potatoes, and it is a baguette, and it is filled with pork and vegetables. Now, I don't catch that it's pork because there's a long time where I didn't eat meat at all. So I'm like, this
Mhm.
is probably chicken. And I look and I was like, hey, this tostada looks a lot like a baguette. And he goes, oh no, that's the tostada.
Mhm.
Now, Lisa, I'm not trying to make this about anything other than food, but that gentleman clearly comes from a background where he would know the difference between a tostada and a
Mhm.
baguette because
A
those
background
tostadas.
being having been hired at the restaurant that serves both baguette and tostadas.
But I'm going to venture to say his culture or the culture
Uh-huh.
that his appearance would present. He may
Uh-huh.
have been raised eating tostadas or they
Oh,
were a
sure.
part of the experience at some point.
Uh-huh.
Sir, that's a loaf of bread on my plate.
Uh-huh.
Like, that. Your eyes work. And he goes, oh, I can bring you a side of tostadas if you want. And I said, well, no, I don't want this to go to waste. I'll just eat it because I'm just a hero. And my
Because you
friend
know
across,
also that if somebody messes up an order, the restaurant just throws it away because they couldn't possibly stomach the idea of an employee having half a free meal. They'd
correct.
rather just chuck it.
I knew that was going to happen. And I also knew whatever they were going to make on the fly, that guy was going to go down there. He wasn't going to blame himself and say,
Hmm.
I rang in a completely different order. He was going to
Hmm.
be like, oh, the customer didn't like this. So then, because that's what I've done. You always blame the customer. You never blame yourself. You're trying to maintain peace with these
Oh,
sociopaths. So
see,
you're
I
like,
did, and it was total chaos.
oh, yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
whoops a daisy, I messed
You,
up again.
you
Can you
can't do it.
believe it?
Can't do
Fifth
it.
time today,
Nope.
every
Because then
day in a
they'll,
row.
nope. They're going to sit on your orders. They're going to fuck everything up. So I was like, no, no, it's okay. So as I'm eating, I'm like, this meat tastes like meat I've not eaten before. And then I'm like, this meat is rather dark. And then I was nauseous and I was like, I think I'm eating pork. And so I can't eat whatever. I look at the bill because he had the fucking handheld thing where you don't get to see the receipt. You just get to see if you're going to add a tip, which is just such a fun fucking game. And I was like, I need to know that this motherfucker put in the wrong order. So I was like, could I get a printed receipt, please? And he goes, oh, sure.
Here's the thing also, people are acting like you're asking them to go to Kinko's and make a
That
copy
part.
of the receipt for your scrapbook. It's
That
like,
part.
no, this is part of your job, my
This is
guy.
part of
This is
the
actually part the
exchange.
simplest part.
I didn't say go down the street and give me some ice cream. Print. I don't care that you have a handheld and you can't print from the handheld. Print from somewhere.
Which, speaking of which, sorry to interject, but when you say go down the street and get some ice cream, there was a psycho that used to come into one of the restaurants I worked at, and it was the owners also owned another restaurant up the block, and he and when I first waited on him, he's like, because let's say we didn't carry Splenda. I don't know what it was that we didn't carry, but he's like, can you go next door and get me Splenda? And I was like, sure can't. No. And then another server was like, oh yeah, he always asks us to do that. And I'm like, I don't know why you're doing it. I'm
Yeah.
not.
That's
You
not
want
what
me
you're
to
paid
leave the
for.
building and go to another restaurant to get Splenda for you? Carry it on you. I always have Stevie on me because I'm a grandmother.
Mima.
And if there isn't stevia available, I'm not like, hey, can you run to Trader Joe's and pick up a box of stevia packets for me? What?
What?
I'm not your personal assistant. I'm
But
not
if
your
you,
mommy.
however, Lisa Curry, if you're handing me two crispy $100 bills, I'm about to bring you all the stevia you want for the rest of
I'll
eternity.
go get you Arby's.
Nah,
What are you talking
I'll get in my
about?
car. I will leave the city.
I will quit my job. $200.
Well, I just wanted to wrap up the terrible lunch I had yesterday. Then I got the printed receipt that I saw printed. It was
Mhm.
printed in print, in printing, in printing in front of me in ink and black and white. It said a torta del pastor, which
Yeah.
is a pork sandwich.
Yeah.
Pork sandwich. Not a chicken tostada, which is what I had ordered. And I just looked at that and I was like, I want so badly to be the person who's like, hey man, you brought me something that I did not order. And not like putting it on
You
his
gotta
neck.
try it out this year because then you're gonna get drunk with power. It's amazing.
Yeah, you've turned a corner with this.
Yeah.
You really are
Because it's also your money, your body. You don't
that
want to
part.
ingest pork. What?
Yeah.
So you don't hurt his feelings? Guy is a full-blown dipshit.
Well, this is the thing when they're like, nobody wants to work. I thought that was like the drum getting beaten from the people who were like, oh, everything, whatever. There's a microchip in the vax or whatever. But now that I'm like,
I
I
wish.
don't know that everybody, I think they might be right that nobody wants to work because they hired this guy. Like, what was the interview process like for this guy? I really got to know. Like, do you know how to hit? I can't tell you how easy the handheld system is called Toast out here. I can't tell you how easy Toast is. Like I had a training shift that within the first hour of the training shift, I had it sorted. And then I worked a full-blown shift last night, had it sorted. I don't, the menu was, I mean, there were maybe 40 items on the menu. That's a fair amount of items. And I
Mhm.
get it, tostada and torta both start with TO. I could see that. But one says chicken and one says El Pastor. Like, what did you, and they describe it on Toast.
Yeah.
You see a description of the thing so
Yeah.
that you know what to tell the customer. There, it is so dummy proof that you have to be certifiable if you mess that up. And I was like, this is here, take all my money for this experience eating something I don't want to eat. It's on me. It's on me. Fine. I'm over it. I don't care.
You seem to have made peace with it.
Fuck you. I'm fine. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I wanted content.
I'm telling you what, 2024, just, make that a thing for yourself. Like, make it a challenge. Like, okay, like, step outside of yourself and be like, I'm not Kate Gaffney. I'm this other bad bitch who's not gonna eat pork just because you hand it to me. What is he your parent? Is this Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah, but if I step into my bad bitch energy, I'm going to be single until I die. Like, I have to be a little demure.
I'm sorry, are you not single in this energy?
Fuck you. This is why you don't interview your friends. You are so rude.
I can turn into a single person, and that could be dangerous.
I hate you so much.
If I ever got the nerve to stand up for myself, then it's curtains for my love life.
You're the rudest person on the planet. Huh?
I could say the same about me. If only I stopped shitting so much. I don't even think that's the problem at this point.
I can't confirm that's got to be part of it.
Given all the rest of my behavior, it can't be more than 4%. It's a strong 4%.
It's a solid 4. It's a crispy 4.
It's a messy, stinky 4.
It's a stinky 4. We can confirm. Okay, so if you were in my situation yesterday, because even my friend across the table from me, she was like, "You're too nice," and I was like, "Here's the thing. When I die, I would rather be known as someone who was like agreeable and fun to be around than someone who was just like coming after everybody. Because I have been around those people who were like, I wish somebody would. I'm no longer
that there's
around
just
those
no
people.
in between in your world.
There isn't. There isn't. You are either a doormat or fucking holding ammo. I don't know.
I would have been like, excuse me, I ordered a chicken tostada. This ain't it. You know what? Or if I was like on one, my go-to phrase is if I was like, if he had like been being rude or something, I'd be like, you're not gonna believe this. This is not a chicken tostada. That is my favorite thing to say when I've had it with customer service.
You say you're not going to believe this?
Yeah. Like, I'll be like, you are not going to believe this. I don't have another 2 hours to sit on the phone with you today.
You're going to be shocked to learn.
I'm like, this is going to blow you away.
Shocked and dismayed to learn that I can't keep doing this.
Yeah, I won't raise my voice. I don't scream at people. I don't insult them. I don't insult their intelligence. I don't call them names.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can't go in with that energy all the time. Just my friends and anyone hitting on me. That was like when I met that guy the other night. I'm leaving everyone unnamed. And he goes, when we were at the mothership, and he's like, "Oh, I'm a helicopter pilot." I was like, "Yeah, one of my friends is too, and he's not top 10 smartest people I know."
But what did he say back? He had a great response.
He was immediately like, "That's hilarious. I'm buying you a drink."
So there you go. And it worked out. It worked out.
I think he probably had some coworkers he didn't think super highly of.
I like that you're protecting him. He confirmed that. He definitely does. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, at least as far as like, I don't know, as far as being a woman, I feel like I'll speak for all women. Part of the game with life and getting what we need taken care of is either being really dumb and being like, "Oh, I just need to be helped," or being really nice. I feel like if you even so much as like skirt onto the territory of I might stand up for myself, it's like, well, there she's a bitch. listen to that bitch, just being a
Is that what people are
bitch.
saying about me?
Okay, this is we're having an intervention. I'm glad we got here organically.
Listen, you know what I would like? I think part of also why I started like really speaking up for myself
Mm.
is like let it be a warning to everyone else. Like if word gets around like Lisa Curry will not take your horse shit, then people aren't going to try me. You
I
know?
mean, fair enough. Yeah.
If it's like Lisa Curry will do free work for you. Lisa Curry will show up and, do all this extra like that's why I'm like right out of the gate with people when they're like, "Hey, can you do this thing?" I'm like, "What's the rate?" "Oh, it's 0." I simply don't have the time.
But I can confirm, I will say, like, that is not even, you're not even doing a bit. I have
Hmm.
watched in real time that you do that. Like, you're like, no, no, what's the rate? It's because it's creative work almost always where people are
Yeah.
like, oh, but you can like just do this, right? It's
Hmm.
the value of creative work of like, no, there's actual like time and energy. It's fun. Like if you're asking me to act in something for free, I am playing dress up, but also it's my
Hmm.
time, it's work. Yeah,
Sure is.
you do ask the rate. Yeah. When did that shift for you?
I just got tired of doing like I was doing shit for free all the time and I think it was like a lot of it was reflecting back on old jobs when I let myself be taken advantage of repeatedly and just like and by very wealthy people and I'm like I've had enough and it's also like this is my job. This
Mm-hmm.
is my job and I also started to think about like okay, I can do this for free. I have the time. But if I do this for free for 2 hours, that's 2 hours. That's not my time to myself. That's 2 hours. I can't go for a hike with a friend that I haven't seen in a while. That's 2 hours that I'm not sending out my own booking emails. That's like
You're
two
not
hours that I'm
working.
not writing. I'm not,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just fucking off for two. And that's not to say like I won't help friends out with things. Like if like actual friends of mine message me and they're like, "Hey, would you listen to this set and give me notes or whatever?" Yeah, absolutely. But like you don't know me or like you're asking me to do a favor for a friend of yours. Are you insane? Are you insane? Check your fucking head. Is it in an oven? What's happening? Like
Check your
I also
head.
had there was somebody who you and I have both struggled with, who how do I say this?
Oh,
Has
I can't
not
wait.
been in the past respectful of our time spent working on our craft. And I famously sent them an email that was like super straightforward, like, hey, this is actually what I do for a living. And here's some things that I am interested in doing for money. And things have taken a really, really completely changed with that person for me. And I think also like you and I have talked about this kind of privately of like, and I'm gonna expose it now,
Good. Can't wait.
um, about how like you and I perceive things as being like either a 0 or a
Yeah.
100 and nowhere in between. And I think it's when you approach somebody calmly and directly and you're like, hey, that actually doesn't work for me. Here's what would. Thank you for thinking of me. Even if I think something is insulting or whatever, I always say thank you for thinking of me because I'm like, I genuinely mean that. Like, I'm glad I came to mind as somebody who you thought was an expert on this thing.
Hmm.
Also, I am not going to be doing things for free. Like, thank you and also no thank you. And I think what you and I part of like I've noticed that like why we think it's going to be a 10 is because before we speak up for ourselves, we spend so much time building it up into our head that we're enraged by the time we respond. And so we're afraid that they can see that rage. And
I
they
am
can't.
so calm.
That's
You
inside.
mean you're enraged? I am the calmest person. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not unhinged.
You're definitely not staying up at night, continuing an argument that's not happening.
Fuck you.
You've lost no sleep. I'm glad to hear that.
Never. Not even a wink.
Well, congrats to you.
Thank you. Where's my trophy?
We're different in that way.
Yes, I agree with that. And I think that's also like if I learned nothing else from working at the Comedy Store, it was like I was having to be confrontational every single night because you're fighting with people on the like, yep, there's a 2 drink minimum. Yep, you're gonna have to sit here. No, you can't scream. Yes, you're overserved. No, I can't bring you anything up. Like that practice, as much of a chaotic hellscape as that
Mhm.
was, that practice really did make me better at that. But I think I've been out of it for too long now where I'm like back to,
Mhm.
okay, well, I'll eat your a pork baguette because that's just, and I think it's also because I don't want to have to, I can't be asked. It's just like, okay, I can't fight this too. I'm doing so much else that if you want to feed me shit I didn't order, I'm like, okay. Like and that's part and parcel with other things. It's like, yeah, I should set boundaries with people who are demanding I work for free. They're giving me volunteer service opportunities left, right, and center all the time.
Mhm.
I really should be like, hey,
Volunteer service
so
opportunities.
so many. It's always creative work too. They really enjoy that being an option. Um, well, would you say that, because as much as you said that like there's not service outside of LA or New York,
Mhm.
I would say the service is different. But what I
Mhm.
do appreciate in here in Texas is like we had a situation with parking that we had to deal with last night. And they were snippy kind of, but then they worked with us and there wasn't like it got solved. I feel like in LA, it's like they're so geared up to fight that they're just
Mhm.
like, what's the corporate stance? If it's a no, it's a no. I don't
Yeah.
find that to be true here. And I will say I do appreciate that they are willing to sort of acquiesce and work with you. But
Mhm.
I don't know if that is your interpretation of customer service.
Um, that wasn't something I had considered, but I will say people are friendlier here.
Yeah.
Just overall, they're
Yeah.
willing to engage with you. They don't feel, I will say, like the people are more on top of like checking on you in LA when you're seated in their section
Yeah.
and they're depending on your tips. But also, if you ask for something like, oh, do you have, hot sauce back there? They act like you are asking them to do a real big favor. And, they're like, I mean, I can look.
That response. I mean, I can ask. I mean, I can blah blah blah. Can you? I
Versus
don't
like,
need the
I'll ask.
beginning. Just ask.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just do it. Yeah,
Mhm.
the I sometimes feel like I have always felt this way about every tattoo artist I've ever interacted with.
Mhm.
Letting them permanently ink my body. They're doing me this huge favor by letting that happen. And I'm like, I'm paying you for this exchange. Get over yourself. Do you know how many of
Mhm.
you there are?
Wait, have
Apart
you
from
sat through a tattoo after somebody was rude to you, Kate?
what what am I going to do? Be like, please take that needle out of me in this half finished experience.
When did they start being rude? Midway? Or because if they were
It's look, it's a lot of ego and attitude to try and you got to
Mhm.
fucking, it's like, you got to walk to the left 3 paces and then stand upright, sit back down, do a circle before you can even enter the shop and they'll acknowledge you. Then once they
Never.
acknowledge you, girl, you talk to anybody who isn't, if you're covered in tattoos, they're nice to you because they're like, oh, you're part of the gang. Okay. Like you get it. You're not just doing this as like a fad.
Mhm.
If you have one-off tattoos like I do, I present as if I don't have them. And then I'm like asking about it. And they're like, I mean, I don't know. The book's right there. It's like, okay, okay. So those people I wouldn't let. But like, I have
Mhm.
said this to my old roommate, was covered in tattoos. She was real fun. And I said to her, I was like, they treat you so differently. Cause I went with her to get a tattoo for her to get a tattoo. I was like, they're
Mhm.
nice to you. And she was like, well, they know I'm serious about it. So I have to get a tattoo on my face for you to be nice to me. I'm giving you 300 of my hard-earned dollars. And I got to get a tier to suggest I've murdered someone before you're going to acknowledge that this is a customer service exchange. I
Mhm.
could do a whole, I shouldn't go off about this, too late, but I could do a whole episode on
Wait, were they
tattoo.
all men that tattooed you or
No.
women?
I've only been tattooed by men, but I've
Okay, well, there
interacted
you go.
with, well, all right, you're going to blame all men. I'm trying to date. I
You
am
bet I
not
am.
trying. I believe some men are nice. Slide
Yeah,
into
some
these.
of them, some of them are nice and they can get it. Come get
Some can get it.
it.
Yeah, that's interesting that
That's
you've
all you
not
need
heard
to
it.
be nice.
That's it.
Don't-
The bar is so low. We hold men to no
And
standards anymore.
yet, and
And yet,
yet.
and yet, and yet.
I'm sure men listening are like, true. Well, then maybe that's not you, but check your friend Chad. What's he up to? I bet he's an asshole.
Shout out to my one friend, Chad, who definitely listens. She didn't mean you. You're great.
What's your last name, Chad? I'm
I'm
sure
not doing it.
it's
I'm
you're
not doing
somebody
it
that
on air.
she Chad, text me. I'll let you know if you're who Kate's talked about. I'm kidding. Chad just,
That's the
yeah,
name,
I don't
man.
know. I don't know any
Yeah.
Chads
Yeah.
currently.
But I'm really surprised you haven't heard other people who have like one-off tattoos talk about this because it's like
Mm-mm.
it's such a weird world. Anyway, all of that to
No,
say,
I don't
so
know any other pussies that have just one tattoo. I'm kidding.
I have more
Teasing. I
than
know you
one.
have like
So
three or something.
good for
I
you
think you have
fixing it.
two. You have two or
Three.
three?
Three.
Three. Okay. And one is lucky you above your butthole,
Why are
right?
you no, that's not accurate. I'm gonna tattoo your face and see how they treat you.
Please, I need a hook. Blonde white lady ain't cutting it. Mm-mm.
Well, thank you for being on. Do you want to? I want you to promote all
Oh,
the things you just record. Well, we can keep going. I just don't want to waste your
we
time.
can keep going. I don't
Oh,
care. What am
sure.
I doing? I'm sitting. Kate, you can see I'm sitting in bed.
Listen, audience, what I love is when a guest is like, I have nothing better to do. So it's a yes from me, dog. Like, that just feels so nice to hear.
I was
Good.
gonna chew on some glass, and then I was like, I guess I could do this instead for a little while.
Let it be on record that the options of being a guest on my show is either be a guest or chew glass. That's good. I'm glad that there's two
Yeah.
options. All right. Well, then I will say, what do you miss about customer service? I know you've said you wouldn't come gun to your head. I'm never doing it again. Blah,
I
blah,
know.
blah.
I miss interacting with people to that degree. It's fun. I like being around people. I miss, you know what I really miss? When I worked at Basics Cafe in West Hollywood, all the regulars, and a lot of them were elderly and they're not
Mm-hmm.
like, I know a few of them aren't around anymore. And I just miss them because it's just, you have a relationship with somebody and they're, you know, that's hard to not see people regularly. And I've maintained some friendships with some of the regulars, but we don't see each other very often. And it used to be a thing like if there's somebody in your life that you're used to seeing 3, 4 times a week, and then it drops down to once a year, and you genuinely really like them, it's a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not realistic to hang out 3, 4 times a week with each of your friends unless
Yeah.
you're in preschool. Like,
Which, God, those were the
as
days,
an
weren't they?
adult, unless you all live on a commune together and you're in a cult. Oh, maybe that's why people do cults.
Hey, there
Actually,
we solved that.
okay, and there we go, folks. There
That's
it
a
is.
wrap. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there is a piece of it that when you do have regulars, especially when you're as a bartender, I had regulars who came every single like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for happy hour, and they like got me Christmas gifts, and they were very like being plugged into a community in that way is really lovely. It's painful when you're like, this isn't the job I actually want to be doing.
Hmm.
And it's like, oh, I'm like entrenched in this to the point where they're buying me gifts. That part is a little tough, but on the happier side of it, it's like, yeah, there is I mean, we are the community in which we live. Like that is who you're interacting with. You're going to see them probably more than
Hmm.
you're going to see your parents and more than you're going to see your cousins and whatever. Like,
Hmm.
because these are the people that are in your life probably more day to day. I mean, a friend of mine once said, she was like, I see my barista more than I see my mom. And I was like, that's incredibly sad, but also probably true for most people,
But
unless
it's
you're a
also
kid.
sweet to just build a connection with somebody and like,
Yeah.
because it's like it's also like eh, I I feel like it's kind of the testament is too strong a word, but it proves how much you do genuinely like a person without like they're not doing like career, you're not getting career advancement out of it on the side. Like it proves how much you genuinely like a person if you're seeing each other in like 10-minute increments, and that's
Mhm.
enough to build a nice relationship out of, you know?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. So that's
That's
what
all
you
I
would
have
say
is
you,
good points. So yeah.
no, you don't always though. So you said that's what you miss about customer service is kind of that like
Yeah.
relationship building.
That and also like I gotta be on the spectrum because one thing, you know what I
This
miss
isn't
so
news.
much? Like filling little sugar caddies and like filling those little, when I worked at Marmalade Cafe, there was like little baskets of jam.
I love that shit too.
Oh
But
God,
we
it's so
talked about,
satisfying.
because here's the thing though. I mean, you're for sure on the spectrum, but unrelated to that, if anything that has a beginning, middle, and end, as a creative
Yes.
person, it's why a lot of us end up being like obsessively clean, because I just need something to be finished, because creative work is never, ever, 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 ever
No.
done. And you can always tweak and you can always do more and you can always rewrite and you can always blah, 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 blah. That if something has an actual ending, it's like, boy, the satisfaction of that is almost
Yeah.
unmatched.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I see why that would be part of it.
I think that's also probably, without me even realizing it, part of my motivation. I mean, look, I want to sell a TV show. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to sell my special.
Mhm.
But also, I
You
think
are.
that's part of maybe subconsciously my motivation to sell something, because once it's sold, then it's done, done.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. It's gone through post, it's whatever,
Hmm.
like I guess once it's sold and then airs, I mean, then you're totally done.
Hmm.
And you can put it behind you and be like, check that off the list. I mean, that was true with my album, my first album. I was like, and now it's out and I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah, I do. I would agree with that, because that is a creative work, a job that is done. I mean, you've listened to thousands of comics interviews where they say, they go back and watch their like first special or their early stuff, and
Hmm.
they're like, oh, I don't like that. That's such a creative conundrum, because it's like a movie. It's like you could put it through 7,200 edits and it's still not going to be exactly what everybody what. And it's just like at some point they say, put it out, just be done. And so, yeah, I think I definitely agree. And I think that part of customer service is really satisfying. I was doing that last night. I was just like, we're done. This show's going too long. So I just started pulling all the menus, all of the numbers, everything off of the
Hmm.
tables. And the girl that's worked there for a long time, she goes, oh, I usually wait until it's completely over to do this. And I was like, nah, girl, we sending messages here. Get out, go home. That comic's talking too much. We wrapped. It's
Yeah,
midnight.
you
I
were
want to
there for
go.
like 4 hours for a 2 hour show or
Yeah,
whatever it
it's
was. Or like the show ended up being like 4 hours.
4 hours. That show was 4 hours. That's too many hours. It's
Which,
too many hours
yeah,
for a show.
yeah,
Yeah.
it literally was, because it
8 to
started
midnight.
well, I guess it started right after 8, but that was because the guy that was begging women to send in pictures of them pissing, he went over by a little bit. So yeah, you know what? You run the clock when you absolutely have to, and that was necessary.
Yeah.
That was the thing I watched with my eyes and heard with my ears.
I was in the room and I completely heard none of that.
Because here's the thing, again, like I said the other day, you and I, the way we process trauma is you forget it and I remember it.
I gotta say, of the
I don't
two,
want to be
I
the
feel
keeper.
yeah, happy that I got the dementia around it. Really happy. Like,
No,
I'm
I'm
like, wait,
not
what?
interested.
You're like, we
You're
were in
like,
a
what
car
happened?
wreck. I'm like, we were? She's like, yeah, you have a neck brace on. I'm like, what? This isn't an accessory? This is necessary? Oh, well, I feel like, I mean, in general, what do you think is the best type of customer service? You almost finished with the restaurant. You said basically balance between talking to you and ignoring you
Oh,
was the
come over,
summary.
take my drink order, refill it when it's low. I shouldn't have to flag you down for water. You can see it. It's not costing you anything. What are you
Hmm.
doing? Keep the coffee coming. Also,
That part.
like, also just learn a little timing. If my food is coming and you have not brought my drinks yet, I'm fucking pissed. I don't want I don't want to have my, like, morning eggs with hash browns and whatever without having a coffee. The
Yeah,
flavors all go together. There's a
that's right.
reason certain drinks go with certain foods. Don't you
Mhm.
you bring me my drink first. And also, like, bring appetizers come first. There's just things that make sense, guys. There's things that make sense.
Do you want, if one more person asks me this, do you want the appetizers out first or do you want them with the main meal? Now, if I'm ordering the appetizer as my main meal and you know that, then obviously I want that out with my friend's meal. But if I have ordered chips and dip for the table, we can assume, feels like a safe bet, that
Hmm.
that should come out now, because I know it
Hmm.
takes you one scoop and then a little bit of salsa that's prepackaged and to the table. I
Hmm.
don't want that when my incorrect pork sandwich is coming out. I don't want them simultaneously. I
Hmm.
want one ahead of the other. I want to fill up on chips and then feel all my shame when I also finish my entire meal in front of me after 3 baskets of chips. Don't ask stupid questions. Don't do that.
Do not. Do
Don't.
not.
Oh, well,
Uh,
Lisa, this was a disaster, as predicted.
this is great.
So, what a waste of everyone's time. Why don't you tell people the dumb shit you're doing?
Well, as Kate mentioned before, I co-host a really fun podcast with my friend Matthew Sheffield, and it's called Doom Scroll. Get it wherever you listen to podcasts, except for here because we're rivals. And then uh, please give me a follow on Instagram because I need my numbers up before I pitch my thing. You're getting good content. I'm posting clips. I'm posting 4 to 5,000 photos of my dog per day.
Mm.
So that's good. When I travel, I post a lot of travel stuff. So like if you're not a traveler, well, guess what? I'm going all over the place this year. I'm going to be in Flagstaff. I'm going to be in Phoenix. I'm going to be in Vegas. I'm going to be in San Diego and New York and New Jersey and Hawaii and Belgium and Germany and Wales and England and the Netherlands and Luxembourg and where else? I think that was the end of that run for now.
Wow, everybody fell asleep. That was neat. You were just naming places. What a fun ride we just
So
went on.
yeah, so follow me on Instagram at Olympian Lisa Curry.
And when she sells her special and you get to see it, you'll figure out or you'll learn why that is her handle. Don't tell us here.
Okay.
And okay, so find you at Olympian Lisa Curry, Doom Scroll, and look out for your special in the coming year of our Lord 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find me on all the things at BK Gaffney. You can find Service from Hell at Service from Hell Podcast at gmail.com, or you can find us at Service from Hell on IG. Really appreciate all of you all listening. Patreon, appreciate you watching. And yeah,
Oh, they can see me.
you're good. Anyway, Lisa's really upset now. We didn't fully
I'm
disclose.
like, oh no,
Anything
I
else
look
to say?
insane.
No, well, you're awake.
Um,
So
anything else to say? Tip your servers,
that's
I
good.
guess. Tip
Yeah.
your servers and don't be a creep at comedy shows, please. And that includes comics. Don't be a creep. That's actually mostly for comics. Don't be a creep.
It's exclusively for comics. That's good. Thank you folks so much for listening. Remember, I forget my outro. This was a bonus episode, so I don't have to do it. I don't ever have to do it. We're making up all the rules. Remember, if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to go out. So don't be garbage and be good to people. It's easier that way. Thanks for listening to this episode with my idiot friend, comic voice actor Lisa Curry.
This
We'll
is
see
for
you folks.
Patreon.
What a good view that is. We'll see you folks next week. Good night.